Amir had not seen his cabin for 10 years. The last time he had been there, he was a young man just starting to explore the world beyond the small forest where he grew up. Life had taken him far away, through cities, busy streets, and crowded offices, but the memory of his little cabin in the mountains had always stayed in his heart. Now, standing at the beginning of the familiar forest trail, he felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. The air was crisp and fresh, filled with the smell of pine and wet earth. Birds sang in the trees, as if welcoming him back. The road to the cabin had changed slightly. Some of the trees had grown taller, and the underbrush had spread across the trail, making it feel like the forest itself had grown up while he was away. Amir walked slowly, taking in every detail. The small creek that ran beside the trail still sparkled in the sunlight, and he paused for a moment to dip his fingers into the cool water. It felt exactly as he remembered, refreshing and clear. A smile spread across his face. Finally, after a long walk, he reached the clearing where his cabin stood. It looked almost the same as it had 10 years ago. The wooden walls were slightly faded, and the roof had a few missing shingles, but it still had the charm that had made him fall in love with it as a child. The flowers he had planted years ago had grown into small bushes, and the garden near the front door looked wild, but alive. He stepped closer, his heart pounding in his chest. Amir reached for the door handle. The metal felt cold in his hand. He paused, taking a deep breath, and pushed the door open. What he saw inside made him freeze. The cabin was not empty. Light spilled from the windows and laughter echoed through the rooms. It sounded warm, happy, and very wrong. He stepped inside, and his eyes widened in surprise. A family he had never met was standing in the living room. A woman, perhaps in her 40s, stood in the center, her arms crossed and her face tense. 2 children played on the rug nearby, building towers with blocks and giggling. A man, slightly older than the woman, watched the children with a quiet smile. They all looked up at Amir as he entered, and the room fell silent. "Who are you, and why are you in my house?" the woman demanded. Her voice was firm, and there was no mistaking her anger. Amir took a cautious step forward. I think there is a misunderstanding," he said carefully. "This is my cabin. I grew up here. I haven't been here in 10 years, but this is my property." The woman's frown deepened. "My children live here. We have every right. You can't just walk in and claim this place," she said. Amir shook his head slowly. "I understand this is shocking, but I never gave up ownership. I never sold it or rented it. It has always been mine." The man stepped forward, trying to calm the situation. "We thought this cabin was abandoned," he said quietly. "After our home was damaged, we had nowhere else to go. We only stayed here because we needed a safe place." Amir studied him carefully. There was honesty in his eyes. The man was not lying, and Amir could see that this family had faced struggles. The woman, however, was not ready to listen. "You left this cabin empty for 10 years. You gave up your rights," she said, her voice rising slightly. Amir remained calm. He understood that anger often came from fear. "No," he replied gently. "I left because of work and life responsibilities, but I never gave up my property. I just never expected to find someone living here when I returned." The children were quiet now, watching the adults with wide eyes. One of them, a little girl, clutched a small doll tightly. She looked curious and a little scared. Amir smiled softly at her. "I promise I don't want to hurt anyone," he said. "We can figure this out together." The woman's expression softened slightly, but she did not let go of her anger. "You don't understand," she said. "This cabin became our home. We have built our lives here. It is not just a building. It is where my children feel safe." Amir nodded. He understood better than anyone the value of a home, the comfort it could give. "I see that," he said. "I can see you have taken care of it. The cabin looks beautiful, but we need to discuss how to handle this situation fairly." The man stepped closer. "We don't want to cause trouble," he said. "We only want to stay here until we can find a permanent home. We did not mean to take what belongs to you." Amir's heart softened further. He realized that although he had been shocked to find them here, they were just people trying to survive. He walked further into the cabin, taking in the changes. The walls had been painted a warm shade of yellow, and new curtains hung on the windows. The furniture was simple but tidy. A small garden outside was filled with flowers, vegetables, and even a small stone path. This family had cared for the place, making it their own without knowing they were intruding. Amir sat down at the wooden table in the center of the room. "I want to make this right," he said. "You need a place to stay, and I want to respect that. But this is my property. There has to be a solution that works for everyone." The woman, Karen, hesitated. She was still angry, but Amir could see the conflict in her eyes. Her family had found safety here, but the cabin was not legally theirs. The children, sensing the tension, moved closer to their mother. Amir looked at them and smiled again. "You have made this place feel alive," he said. "It is clear you care about it. That matters to me. I just want to find a way that doesn't hurt anyone." Karen's eyes softened slightly. She looked at the man beside her, and then at the children. For a moment, silence filled the room, except for the quiet ticking of a small clock on the wall. Finally, Karen spoke in a calmer voice. "I just want my children to feel safe. I did not want to take something from you. I only wanted a home." Amir nodded. "I understand, and I want to help. Let us find a solution together. No one has to leave in anger or fear. We can make this work." The man smiled faintly. "Thank you," he said. "We were worried you would be angry and force us out." Amir shook his head. "I do not want to force anyone out. That is not what I want. I want to help you. This cabin can be a place where everyone feels welcome." The children, seeing the adults talking calmly, began to relax. The little girl placed her doll on the table, and the boy looked curiously at Amir. Amir crouched down to their level. "I hope we can all be friends," he said. The children nodded, and Amir felt a small spark of hope. Maybe this situation could turn into something good after all. As the evening sun filtered through the cabin windows, Amir realized that coming back to his cabin was not going to be as simple as he had imagined. But he also realized that life often gave unexpected challenges, and handling them with patience and kindness could turn difficult moments into something positive. The cabin was no longer just his. It had become a place where new lives were growing, and Amir knew he had a role to play in helping that growth. For the first time in 10 years, Amir felt at home again, not because he owned the cabin, but because he was ready to face the challenges of returning. He knew the next few days would be full of conversations, decisions, and adjustments, but he also knew that with understanding and patience, he could help create a solution where everyone felt respected and safe. That night, as Amir lay in his old bed, he could hear the sounds of the family in the living room, their laughter and quiet conversations blending with the rustle of the forest outside. The cabin was alive again, and Amir felt a sense of peace. Returning home after 10 years had been surprising and difficult, but it was also the beginning of something new. He closed his eyes, ready for the days ahead, knowing that the story of his cabin was not over. It had only just begun. The next morning, Amir woke early, feeling a mix of curiosity and determination. He knew he could not simply reclaim the cabin without talking to Karen and her family. He had to understand their situation fully before making any decisions. The sun shone through the cabin windows, lighting up the small living room where the family had already begun their morning routine. Karen was in the kitchen preparing breakfast, while the children moved around excitedly, helping set the table and chattering about small plans for the day. Amir took a deep breath and stepped out of his bedroom. "Good morning," he said softly, not wanting to startle anyone. Karen looked up and gave a curt nod, her expression still guarded. Amir walked closer and carefully chose his words. "I want to talk about the cabin," he said. "I know this is not easy, but I believe we can find a solution together." Karen paused, her hands frozen over the frying pan. "A solution?" she asked, her voice tense. "I don't see how this can work." "You own this place. It belongs to you." Amir nodded. "Yes, it does belong to me. But I do not want to force you or your children to leave. I want to find a way that respects both sides." Karen frowned, crossing her arms. She looked at the children, who were now curious but quiet, sensing the seriousness of the conversation. Amir continued, "I know you needed a home after your house was damaged. I can understand that. I also see how well you have cared for the cabin. You made it a place of comfort for your family, and I respect that." Karen's husband, Sam, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. "We didn't mean to take what wasn't ours," he said. "We only stayed here because we had nowhere else. We were worried you would be angry." Amir smiled gently. "I understand your concern. I am not angry. I am surprised, yes, but I want to find a way to make this situation fair for everyone." The little boy, Michael, tugged at his mother's sleeve. "Mom, is he going to make us leave?" he asked nervously. Karen looked down at him and sighed. "I don't know yet," she replied honestly. Amir crouched down to their level and smiled. "I do not want to make you leave. We will figure this out together and everyone will be okay," he said. The boy nodded slowly, feeling a little reassured. Amir and Karen sat at the table and he began explaining what he had in mind. "I could lease the cabin to your family until you can find a permanent home," he said. Karen's eyes widened in surprise. "You would do that?" she asked softly. "Yes," Amir replied. "I do not want to fight. I want to help. I want your children to continue feeling safe here while we figure out a solution." Karen looked at Sam, who gave a small nod. "We never expected this," he said quietly. "We thought we would have to leave, but this is very generous of you." Amir smiled. "I want to be fair. I know it is difficult when someone returns after many years, but I believe we can make this work. You do not have to worry about being forced out immediately." Karen was silent for a moment, thinking. She looked around the cabin, seeing the care and love her family had put into the space. She realized that Amir genuinely wanted to help and was not angry at them. Slowly, her expression softened. "We have worked hard to make this place a home," she admitted. "I just want to make sure my children are safe." Amir nodded. "I understand completely. That is the most important thing. Your children's safety and happiness matter to me too." Over the next hour, Amir and Karen discussed practical details. They talked about how long her family might stay, how the cabin could be maintained, and ways to ensure that both sides were comfortable. Amir suggested a simple agreement, explaining that it would not take away his ownership but would give them stability while they prepared for their future. Karen listened carefully and asked questions, showing that she wanted to understand everything clearly. The children grew more comfortable as they saw the adults talking calmly. Michael and his sister, Lily, moved closer to Amir and began asking questions about the cabin. "Did you build this?" Lily asked, pointing at the wooden walls. Amir smiled. "I did not build it, but I spent many years here growing up. I know every corner of this place." The children's eyes sparkled with curiosity. Amir continued, telling them about the little adventures he had in the forest, the times he fished in the creek, and how he had planted the small garden outside. The children listened in awe, imagining the cabin in its earlier days. Karen watched quietly, realizing that Amir was kind and patient. Her anger had not disappeared completely, but it had softened into cautious hope. She could see that he cared about fairness and wanted to avoid conflict. "Maybe this can work," she said finally. Amir smiled. "It will take time, but I believe it can. We just need to trust each other and work together." After breakfast, Amir offered to show Karen and her family the little repairs he had planned for the cabin. He wanted to help improve the space while they stayed there, ensuring it remained comfortable. Karen hesitated at first, unsure if she should accept help from the owner, but then realized that Amir truly wanted to cooperate. "All right," she said. "Thank you." Amir and Sam worked together on small tasks around the cabin. They fixed a loose window, cleaned the fireplace, and repaired the front steps. Amir taught Sam and the children how to care for the garden properly, showing them which plants needed sunlight and water. The children laughed as they dug small holes and planted seeds while Karen watched, smiling quietly. She had expected Amir to be strict and angry, but instead he was kind and helpful. As the day went on, Amir realized that the cabin had changed. It was no longer just his childhood home. It had become a shared space alive with new energy. He could see how much Karen's family had put into it and how much they cared for each other. The laughter of the children, The smell of breakfast and the warmth of conversation created a feeling of peace that Amir had not felt in years. By evening, the tension in the cabin had lessened. Karen and Amir sat on the porch, watching the sun dip behind the mountains. The sky was painted with shades of orange and pink, and the forest was calm and quiet. "I am glad we could talk today," Amir said. Karen nodded. "Me too. I was afraid you would be angry and force us out. But now I see that you are willing to help." Amir smiled. "I want to help. I do not want anyone to be afraid. This cabin has always been important to me, but so is making sure everyone feels safe and respected." Karen looked at her children playing nearby and felt a sense of relief. She knew the next days would bring more conversations and decisions, but for now she could relax. Amir had shown that he cared, and that mattered more than anything. As night fell, the cabin glowed softly from the lights inside. Amir and Karen said goodnight to the children, who were already sleepy from a day full of activity. Amir went to his old bedroom, feeling a sense of accomplishment and hope. Returning after 10 years had been overwhelming, but he had started on the path to a peaceful solution. The forest outside was quiet, and the stars twinkled above the mountains. Amir looked out the window and felt a connection to the cabin that went beyond ownership. It was about life, family, and kindness. He understood that returning home was not just about reclaiming property. It was about creating harmony and helping others feel safe. Amir closed his eyes, ready to face the next day with patience and care. The cabin had become more than a building. It was a place where new memories were forming, and Amir knew that with understanding and cooperation, it could be a home for everyone. The journey to find a solution had just begun, and he was determined to handle it with fairness, respect, and kindness. The morning after Amir's first day back at the cabin began quietly. Sunlight filtered through the tall pine trees and filled the cabin with a warm glow. Amir woke early, as he always did, and could hear Karen moving around the kitchen, preparing breakfast for the family. The soft chatter of the children and the smell of fresh toast and fruit made the cabin feel alive. Amir stretched and took a deep breath. He knew today would be another important day to understand the family and their life in his cabin. After breakfast, Amir asked if he could explore the cabin more thoroughly. Karen hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "I think it is important for you to see how we live here," she said. Amir smiled. "Thank you. I only want to understand." He began in the living room, noticing small changes he had not seen the day before. The furniture was simple but arranged thoughtfully. A small bookshelf held colorful storybooks for the children. On the walls, family photos showed smiling faces, small vacations, and celebrations. Amir realized that this family had made the cabin their home. They had created memories and nurtured a sense of belonging. He felt admiration growing inside him. Karen led Amir to the kitchen. He noticed how neatly organized it was. Each utensil had its place, and fresh flowers sat in a small vase on the windowsill. A calendar hung on the wall with notes and reminders written in careful handwriting. The cabin had been neglected when he left, yet now it was full of care and attention. Amir could see that this family had invested time and love into the space. Next, he followed Karen and the children upstairs. The bedrooms were tidy, with clean sheets and soft blankets. The children's room was decorated with drawings taped to the walls and small toys neatly arranged on shelves. Amir knelt down to look at some of the drawings. One showed a cabin surrounded by trees with a bright sun above, and the children had even drawn a small figure they labeled Amir. He smiled softly. Even though they had just met him, the children had included him in their imagination of the cabin. In the corner of the living room, Amir noticed a small scrapbook on a wooden table. The cover was worn, but the pages were filled with photographs, drawings, and little notes. He opened it carefully and saw images of the children playing outside, family dinners, and small celebrations like birthdays and holidays. There were notes written in a careful hand, telling stories of fun adventures in the forest and the garden. Amir realized that this family had truly made the cabin a place of joy and life. Karen watched him quietly. "I think you should see how important this place is for us," she said. Amir nodded. "It is clear. You have done a wonderful job here. I can see how much care you have put into the cabin." Karen looked at her children playing nearby, and a small smile appeared on her face. "I just wanted a safe home for them," she admitted. "That is all I ever wanted." Amir felt warmth in his chest. Returning to his cabin had been shocking at first, but seeing this family's life inside made him feel proud in a different way. He realized that ownership was not just about property, but also about care and respect. This family had respected the cabin, and in return it had become a home for them. After exploring the inside, Amir stepped outside to look at the garden. He knelt beside a row of vegetables and flowers, noticing how well they were tended. He smiled at the little stone path that led to the back of the cabin. It was clear that the children had helped with planting and watering, and the family had made the space beautiful. Amir felt a new sense of purpose. He could see that helping this family stay here for a while would not be a burden but an opportunity to make the cabin even better. As the morning passed, Amir sat on the porch with Karen. They talked quietly about life, about challenges and hopes, and about the importance of family. Karen explained how difficult it had been after their house was damaged, and how grateful she was to find shelter in his cabin. Amir listened carefully, understanding that her initial anger had been fear and uncertainty. She wanted stability for her children, and he wanted to respect that. "Amir," Karen said softly, "I know this is your property, and I do not want to take it from you, but I hope you can see why it became so important for us. We needed a place to feel safe and to grow together." Amir nodded. "I see that clearly now. I can see how much love you have put into the cabin. That matters to me more than anything." The children, sensing that the conversation was calm, approached Amir. Lily held out a small potted plant she had nurtured. "We planted this for you," she said shyly. Amir smiled and took the plant gently. "Thank you, Lily. I will take care of it too." "It is beautiful." Michael handed Amir a small drawing of the cabin with trees and the sun. "This is for you," he said proudly. Amir placed it on the table in the living room, feeling touched. Amir spent the rest of the morning helping the family organize some spaces in the cabin. He fixed a small shelf that had come loose and showed the children how to care for the plants. Karen worked alongside him, and Sam helped lift boxes and move furniture. The cabin, which had been quiet and lonely for so long, now echoed with teamwork, laughter, and cooperation. Amir felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He was not just reclaiming a property. He was building connections and helping a family thrive. At lunch, they all sat together around the kitchen table. Amir realized that meals in the cabin had become lively again, with conversation, laughter, and shared stories. He listened as Karen told stories of the children's past adventures, and he shared memories from his own childhood in the cabin. It was clear that the family respected him, and that the children were excited to have him there, not as a stranger but as someone connected to their home. After lunch, Amir decided to take a walk with the children outside. They ran along the small creek, skipping stones and laughing as the water sparkled in the sun. Amir showed them how to find smooth stones for skipping and how to spot little animals hidden in the bushes. The children's eyes shone with excitement and wonder. Amir realized that these moments of simple joy were exactly what a home should provide: security, happiness, and freedom to explore. As the afternoon passed, Amir and Karen worked on small repairs around the cabin. They fixed a window latch, replaced a broken floorboard, and painted a small section of the porch. Sam helped with lifting and sanding, while the children painted small wooden blocks for decoration. The cabin had become a project for everyone, not just Amir. Each person had a role, and together they were creating a better, safer, and more beautiful home. By the time the sun began to set, Amir stood on the porch and looked out at the forest. The air was cool and calm, and the sky was painted with shades of orange and purple. He felt a deep sense of peace. Returning to his cabin had been surprising, even shocking, but now he understood that this situation could be a blessing. Karen's family had brought life back to the cabin, and he could see a future where everyone could coexist happily. Karen joined him on the porch. "Thank you for understanding," she said softly. Amir smiled. "No, thank you for taking care of the cabin and for sharing it with me. I know it was not easy to have someone return after 10 years, but I appreciate your honesty and effort." They watched the children play nearby, their laughter echoing in the quiet forest. Amir felt a sense of connection, not just to the cabin, but to the family as well. That night, Amir lay in his old bedroom reflecting on the day. He realized that ownership was not just about law or property. It was about care, respect, and the memories created within walls. Karen's family had shown him that the cabin could be more than his childhood home. It could be a place of new beginnings, growth, and joy. As he drifted off to sleep, Amir felt hope. Returning to the cabin had not been simple, but discovering the life inside had given him a new perspective. He understood that patience, kindness, and understanding could turn a shocking situation into an opportunity for friendship and cooperation. The cabin was no longer just a place from the past. It had become a shared home full of life, and Amir knew that the journey to find a peaceful solution had only just begun. The next morning, the cabin was filled with sunlight and a quiet sense of purpose. Amir woke early, as he had become accustomed to, and looked out the window at the forest beyond. The sound of birds and rustling leaves was calming. Today, he knew, would be important. He wanted to discuss with Karen and her family how they could live peacefully together and make the cabin work for everyone. After breakfast, Amir called Karen and Sam into the living room. The children were busy with their coloring books nearby, but listened quietly, sensing that an important conversation was about to happen. Amir spoke calmly. "I want us to find a solution that works for everyone. I know you have made this cabin a home, and I respect that. I also have rights to this property, so we need to figure out a way that is fair for all." Karen nodded slowly. She still felt nervous, but Amir's calm and respectful tone made her more open. "We just want stability for the children," she said softly. "We do not want to move again so soon. We have been through a lot already." Amir smiled gently. "I understand. That is very important. I do not want anyone to feel unsafe or unwelcome here. I want us to find a solution that helps your family stay while also respecting my ownership." Sam spoke quietly. "We do not want to cause trouble. We only need some time to find a permanent home. If there is a way to stay here temporarily, we will be very grateful." Amir nodded. "That is exactly what I want to do. I can lease the cabin to your family for a while. This will give you stability and also allow me to maintain my property." Karen blinked in surprise. "You would do that?" she asked. "Yes," Amir replied firmly. "I do not want to fight or argue. I want to help. I want your children to continue feeling safe here. We just need to set some clear guidelines so that everyone is comfortable." Amir and Karen spent the next few hours discussing details. They talked about how long the lease could last, how the cabin would be maintained, and how both sides could communicate clearly. Amir suggested small rules for shared responsibility. Karen listened carefully, asking questions to make sure everything was fair. The children, sensing the adults' calm and constructive approach, relaxed even more and returned to their coloring. Afterward, Amir suggested walking around the cabin and the garden to discuss improvements and repairs. He wanted Karen's family to see that he was serious about cooperation. As they walked outside, Amir showed them areas that needed attention, like the back porch railing and some sections of the fence. Sam offered to help with repairs, and Karen agreed to help supervise the children in small tasks like planting flowers and watering vegetables. The children, Michael and Lily, were excited. Amir taught them how to plant seeds and care for small plants. They laughed as they dug little holes and carefully placed seeds in the soil. Karen watched with a proud smile. She had seen how Amir's patience and guidance made her children confident and happy. Amir also noticed small details he had missed before. The family had installed bird feeders and a small swing in the backyard. They had made the cabin not only livable but welcoming. Amir felt a deep sense of admiration. These people had cared for the cabin in a way that went beyond basic responsibility. They had nurtured it with love. As the afternoon progressed, Amir invited Karen to help plan a small garden expansion. Together, they designed a layout for vegetables, flowers, and a small herb patch. Sam offered ideas for building a small bench near the creek. The children were eager to help, and the entire family worked as a team. Amir realized that the cabin was no longer just his. It had become a shared home filled with life and energy. Later, they sat together on the porch, enjoying the warm sunlight and the peaceful sounds of the forest. Amir turned to Karen. "I hope you understand that I want this to work for all of us," he said. "I am glad we can share the cabin peacefully. It is not about taking something from you. It is about creating harmony." Karen nodded. "I see that now. I was afraid at first, but I understand your intentions. You care about us in the cabin. That is why I feel hopeful." Amir smiled. "We can make this a place where your children feel safe and happy. At the same time, I can make sure my property is respected. It is a win-win situation. Over the next few days, Amir and Karen's family continued to work together. They fixed small repairs, cleaned and organized the cabin. Amir showed Sam how to care for the roof and the wooden walls, while Karen taught Amir some small tricks she had learned to keep the garden healthy. The children learned to help without getting in the way, and laughter once again filled the cabin. Amir noticed a change in Karen. She was no longer defensive or tense. Instead, she smiled more freely and even joked lightly with him. He realized that trust was growing between them. By working together, they were building not just a temporary agreement but a foundation of respect and cooperation. One evening, Amir brought out some old photographs of the cabin from his childhood. Karen and the children gathered around to see. They laughed at his youthful adventures and were fascinated by how much the cabin had changed over the years. Karen said, "It is amazing to see how much history this place has. I can understand why it is important to you." Amir nodded. "And now it has new memories because of you. That is something I am grateful for." The children were curious about everything. "Can we help with the repairs tomorrow?" Michael asked eagerly. Amir smiled. "Of course. I will show you how to help safely, and it will be fun." Lily clapped her hands in excitement. The cabin had become a place of learning and adventure for them, not just a shelter. As the sun set, the family sat on the porch together. Amir looked around and felt proud. The cabin, once quiet and lonely, was now full of life, care, and joy. He understood that returning after 10 years had been a challenge, but it had also brought a new purpose. By helping Karen's family, he was making the cabin a home again, not just for himself, but for everyone who lived there. Karen looked at Amir and said softly, "I am grateful for your patience and kindness. I was afraid at first, but now I see that we can all live here peacefully." Amir nodded. "I am happy we can make this work. Life is better when people cooperate and help each other." The children ran off to play near the creek, their laughter echoing through the trees. Amir watched them and realized that sometimes what seemed like a problem at first could become an opportunity. He had returned to his cabin expecting emptiness and solitude, but instead, he had found life, laughter, and friendship. That night, Amir lay in his old bedroom and thought about the day. He felt a sense of fulfillment and hope. The cabin was no longer just a place from his past. It had become a shared space full of possibility. He understood that patience, understanding, and willingness to help could transform a difficult situation into a positive experience for everyone. Amir closed his eyes, feeling calm and content. He knew the next days would bring more work, but he was ready. The cabin was alive again, and he was part of its new story. Returning home had been surprising, challenging, and rewarding all at once. In the quiet of the forest, with the cabin glowing softly in the evening light, Amir realized that life had a way of teaching lessons through unexpected situations. By working together, respecting each other, and showing kindness, it was possible to turn uncertainty into peace. And in that moment, Amir felt that the cabin had become not just a home, but a symbol of understanding, cooperation, and hope for the future. The following morning, the cabin felt calm and welcoming. Amir woke to the soft sunlight streaming through the windows and the gentle sounds of the forest. The birds were singing, and the faint rustle of leaves made the air feel fresh. This cabin, once quiet and empty, was now alive with laughter, voices, and the soft hum of daily life. Amir stretched and smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace. Today, he knew, would mark the beginning of a new chapter for both him and Karen's family. After breakfast, Amir suggested that they all sit together to discuss how the arrangement would continue. Karen, Sam, and the children gathered in the living room, their expressions calm and attentive. Amir spoke first. "I am happy that we have reached a solution that works for everyone," he said. "Your family can stay here, and I will help maintain the cabin so that it remains safe and comfortable. At the same time, I will continue to care for it as the owner." Karen nodded. "We are grateful," she said. "You have been kind and patient. I was afraid when you returned, but now I see that you truly want the best for all of us." Amir smiled. "I do. This cabin is important to me, but so is your family's happiness. We can make it a place where everyone feels welcome." The children, Michael and Lily, looked at Amir with bright eyes. "We are happy too," Michael said. "We like it here." Amir ruffled his hair gently. "I'm glad. I want this to feel like your home as much as it is mine. Lily held up a small flower she had picked from the garden. This is for you, she said shyly. Amir accepted it with a warm smile. Thank you, Lily. I will take good care of it. Amir spent the morning showing Karen's family some small improvements that could be made around the cabin. He explained how to repair small sections of the fence, maintain the roof, and care for the garden. Sam listened carefully and helped with each task, while Karen encouraged the children to participate in small, safe ways. The family worked together, turning the cabin into a brighter and more comfortable home. Later in the day, Amir suggested a small celebration to mark their new beginning. They gathered in the living room, where the children had drawn colorful pictures of the cabin and the forest. Amir and Karen placed them on the walls, making the room lively and cheerful. He also showed them old photographs from his childhood, telling stories of adventures in the forest, fishing in the creek, and planting the small garden. The children laughed and asked questions, fascinated by the tales of the past. As the afternoon sun bathed the cabin in golden light, Amir and Karen decided to walk around the property together. The children ran ahead, exploring the garden and creek, their laughter echoing through the trees. Amir noticed small improvements they had made since arriving, such as the stone path, bird feeders, and small wooden benches. The cabin had been transformed by love, care, and teamwork, and Amir felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Amir turned to Karen. I am proud of how well you have cared for this place, he said. It is clear that you and your family have worked hard to make it a home. I am happy that we can share it peacefully. Karen smiled. We could not have done it without your understanding, she said. You made us feel welcome even though it was your cabin. That means a lot to me. The children ran back to them holding small bundles of flowers and leaves they had picked. Amir laughed softly. It seems the forest has given you a gift, he said. Karen watched them play and felt a sense of relief. She had been worried when Amir first returned, but now she could see that the future was bright. The cabin had become a safe and happy place for her children, and Amir's kindness had made that possible. As evening approached, the family gathered on the porch to watch the sunset. The sky was painted with warm shades of orange and pink, reflecting off the trees and the creek. Amir felt a deep sense of contentment. The cabin, once empty and silent, was now alive with life, laughter, and hope. He realized that returning home after 10 years had been challenging, but it had brought unexpected rewards. Karen spoke softly, her voice filled with gratitude. Amir, I am thankful that we can live here. This cabin has become our home, and I know it will always be special because you have welcomed us. Amir smiled. I'm glad. I see that this cabin is not just a place from my past. It has a future too, with new memories being created every day. The children, now tired from their adventures, sat quietly on the porch. Amir knelt down and spoke to them. I hope you always remember that a home is not just walls and furniture. It is the love, care, and respect that everyone shows. You have made this place wonderful, and I am happy to be part of it. The children nodded, understanding the meaning of his words in their simple way. That night, Amir stayed in his old bedroom, listening to the soft sounds of the family settling down for the night. He thought about the journey that had brought him back to the cabin. Returning after 10 years had been surprising, even difficult, but it had also given him a new perspective. He understood that life sometimes brought unexpected challenges, but facing them with patience, kindness, and cooperation could lead to wonderful outcomes. The cabin had become a place of shared responsibility and mutual respect. Amir knew that by helping Karen's family, he had not only preserved the cabin but had also strengthened the bonds of friendship and trust. The children's laughter, the family's warmth, and the quiet beauty of the forest had transformed the space into a home full of life. Over the next few weeks, the family settled into a routine. Amir visited regularly, helping with repairs, teaching the children about the forest and tending the garden. Karen and Sam managed daily tasks with confidence, and the children grew more skilled in caring for plants and small chores. The cabin became a place of learning, joy, and safety for everyone. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky with soft colors, Amir and Karen sat quietly on the porch. I am glad we could make this work, Amir said. Karen nodded. Me too. My children have a safe home, and you have not only preserved your cabin but shared it in a way that makes it better than before. Amir smiled. That is exactly what I hoped for. This cabin is more than just a building. It is a place where people can live, grow, and feel happy. The children ran up to them, holding a small bundle of freshly picked flowers. These are for you, Amir, Lily said shyly. Amir accepted them with a warm smile. Thank you, Lily, I will treasure them. Michael added, We love this cabin. We are happy here. Amir looked at them and felt a sense of pride and fulfillment. He had returned home expecting emptiness, but instead he had found life, friendship, and hope. The days passed peacefully. The cabin remained a place of laughter and learning, of care and cooperation. Amir realized that his return after 10 years had been more than a personal journey. It had been an opportunity to create harmony and understanding. He had learned that ownership was not just about property, but about respect, kindness, and the ability to help others. As the months went by, the cabin became a true home for everyone. Amir and Karen's family built memories together. From quiet afternoons in the garden to evenings watching the stars, the children learned new skills, explored the forest, and grew confident in the safety and love surrounding them. Amir felt joy in seeing the cabin full of life and happiness once again. One clear evening, Amir stood on the porch, watching the stars appear in the sky. The forest was calm and the cabin glowed softly from the lights inside. He thought about the journey of the past months, the shock of returning, the surprise of finding another family, and the effort it had taken to find a peaceful solution. It had not been easy, but the outcome was more rewarding than he could have imagined. Amir smiled, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. The cabin was no longer just his childhood home. It had become a shared space, a place of joy, learning, and new beginnings. Karen's family had found safety and happiness, and Amir had discovered the power of patience, kindness, and cooperation. As he walked inside to join them for dinner, Amir realized that the cabin had become more than a building. It had become a symbol of understanding, friendship, and hope. Returning after 10 years had led to a journey of growth and connection, and in that peaceful moment, Amir knew that the cabin would continue to be a place of happiness for everyone who lived there. The future was bright. The cabin was alive, and Amir felt grateful for the unexpected blessings that had come from his return. Together, they had created a home filled with warmth, laughter, and memories that would last for years to come.